Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Senthil. I will be your presenter today. Together with me, I have Sijun, who will also be sharing her thoughts as and when needed along the way. Right? Together, we came up with this presentation. It's going to be a very light touch on what we can do by leveraging on the mindset to strengthen resilience and adaptability in schools as educators. Okay. Now, just some admin matters, right? So. If you have your questions are important to us, you can just type into the chat box. We'll be more than happy to look at your questions and engage and explore those questions with you. You can also email them to clientrelations@arbingersea.com. Okay. Now, you can also post your questions, comments on our LinkedIn page, Arbinger Singapore/Malaysia. Now, you will receive a YouTube link of the recording via email after the presentation. We welcome your suggestions for future webinar topics. Do email us. And finally, we're going to start with some word clouds. So if you have a mobile phone or you want to use your computer for it, just go to menti.com and get ready. We have 2 questions that we would like to explore with and set it up for the rest of the webinar. Okay. All right. Am I coming across loud and clear? Just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Now, COVID-19 has been a powerful disruption. I think we have never had in the world a disruption that has impacted every single human being in the world. This is one of those things, I think it's one in a millennia, and specifically for educators, the COVID-19 disruption has challenged and disrupted the way we function as educators. So what I want to do now is I want to go to word cloud, okay? And I've got 2 questions there for you to consider. The first one is, what has changed for you, both at work and home, as a result of COVID-19? Okay. Now, so I'm just going to go to the other screen. Share. There we go. Okay. So I'd like to invite you to respond to this question on, on menti.com. The code is 8707750. Your input is coming in. Strain on online meetings, need to adapt fast, perspective, nature, processes, unsocial, pace, work habits, interactions, more digital learning, working style, blurring of lines. Some I'm clear, some, there are more questions when I see them. Blurring of lines, I'm not sure what exactly that was trying to suggest. Freedom. Yeah, what else? Is there anything else? We've got 6 people who have responded. There you go. Processes have changed, time has been impacted, pace has been impacted, need to adapt fast, less classists. Okay. Yeah.
That was class visits. I typed
Class
up.
visits.
Yeah, I'm a principal and I've got into the classrooms a lot less.
Ah, okay. Okay, class visits. Cool. So you can see there's a lot of impact on the way we work. Now let's look at the next question. Okay, I'm just going to go here. What emotions are you experiencing and/or are heightened during these disruptive times? What kind of emotions are you noticing more of? Or new ones, right? That you're experiencing as a result of all these disruptions that are going on. The last Mentimeter question. Frustrated, overwhelmed, tired, exhaustion, anxiety, require more patience, care, frustration, uncertainty, exhaustion, excited, stress, anticipation, anger, fatigue. Yeah. So you can see the big ones are fatigue, anxiety, frustration, stress, unsure, numbness, tiredness. Yeah. So there are significant emotions, right, that are playing up in these disruptive times. So what I want to do is I want to just keep this as the basis for the rest of the presentation, okay? So I'm just going to stop sharing. Share again. Yeah. Oh. So the emotions are real, right? But here's the thing, our emotions actually give away our mindset. And I'm going to suggest that resilience and adaptability are deeply impacted by our mindset. I'm just going to put it out there. Let's validate this along the way. Okay. So I'm going to suggest to you that there are basically two mindsets. I know you are all familiar with a growth and fixed mindset, but I'm going to suggest a different set of mindsets here. Now, the first mindset is a mindset where we are seeing people as objects whose primary purpose is to serve my needs. And the other mindset, right, is where we see people as people. Here, we see them as people who have their own needs, objectives, desires, concerns, and challenges, and they matter. Okay, so let's try to understand these two mindsets in a bit of detail. Okay, now if people are objects to me, we say we have an inward mindset, and whenever I have an inward mindset, others don't matter like I matter. But I still have to work with you. I still have to be with you. And if at home, I still have to live with you. But because you don't matter to me, your objectives, your challenges, your needs, your worries, your pain points also don't matter to me. They don't. That means my objectives and behaviors are totally self-focused. That's why the bold triangle is pointing toward me. That means who are you to me now? You're an object of value. So in this mindset, what we call the inward mindset, I can only see the world in terms of what value do you have for me. It's all about value. I'm fixated with value. That means if you're useful to me, if you're helping me, I see you as a vehicle I can use. If you're making my life difficult, making it harder for me, I see you as an obstacle to blame. But if what you do has no real value for me, I see you as an irrelevancy to ignore. Just look at the orientation and the programming of the inward mindset. Everything that I do is a function of value. Okay? Now, as a result of this, we experience emotions that are blaming and self-focused in nature. All the emotions we listed are symptomatic of the inward mindset. They disable our ability to be objective and rational. And more importantly, resilience and adaptability are weakened. Okay? Now, but of course, so what does it mean, in practical sense, right? So here's the thing. When we are consciously and unconsciously guided by the inward mindset, the approach to addressing challenges and disruption is largely a fixing and reactive strategy. Now, this is very, very critical. It means the moment I go into an inward mindset, the programming, the way I see the things around me, and the way I analyze and decide how to address issues, they are all fixing and reactive in mind. Okay? So as a result, right, we are considering certain types of questions. Now, one, when I'm in an inward mindset, I might not have any resilience at all. And if I don't have any resilience, right, the questions I consider are like this. How and when can we go back to normal? I'm always wishing to go back. Number two, what problems do I need to cope with? I try to cope. Who will create problems for me? Who will be my supporters? But in an inward mindset, right, I can have false resilience, right? That means I'm not changing, but I'm hoping others will change for me, right? So here I'm thinking, how can I get you to accept my decision or make you understand? How can I correct you? How can I get through to you? How can I deal with you? Another one, How do I get you to comply with my instructions and work with me? As you can see, it looks like I'm resilient, but I'm not. These are all trying to get other people to adapt to the way I want. Now, so here's the thing, right? In this approach, the time allocation, all the time I have, right, is largely tilted toward fixing, reacting, and correcting. That's what the inward mindset does. As a result of this, the consequence of this approach is this, that it further alienates people, weakens resilience and adaptability, collaboration, and increases our unwillingness to change. Huge implications. Now, let's look at the other mindset, right? Now, when others are people to us, we say we have an outward mindset. And whenever we have an outward mindset, others matter like I matter. Others are people to me. And because you're a person, your needs, your goals, your challenges matter to me. And that means my objectives and behaviors take others into account. I'm not doing your job for you, but I'm going to do my job in a way that is mindful of any impact it might have on you. So as a result of this mindset, right, we get out of our blaming and self-focused emotions because I'm always considering others in my equation. I'm not doing anybody's job. I'm not being a martyr. I'm not being self-sacrificial, but I'm mindful that whatever I do has an impact on other people. As a result, I get out of my blaming and self-focused emotions. We are able to see people and the situation clearly, honestly, and objectively. And more importantly, it helps us to be resilient and adaptable in every situation. What is the implication in terms of time allocation? So here's the thing. When we are consciously and unconsciously guided by the outward mindset, the approach to addressing challenges and disruption is largely a developmental strategy, not a fixing or a reactive strategy. So the questions we consider in our minds, right, are very different from the inward mindset. Here we are considering questions like this. What is the new normal that I need to get ready for? Look at that. Yeah. What difficult decisions and changes do I need to make to survive and thrive? And an acid test, are my decisions and actions knee-jerk reactions, or are they well considered? I'm taking a step back and just evaluating my own effectiveness. Next, who will be affected by these decisions? How can I take others' needs into consideration? How can I implement these difficult decisions helpfully and respectfully? What obstacles am I personally imposing, or is the organization putting up that I need to help remove? And another one, what support can I provide that will help the situation? Just look at the questions I'm considering naturally when I have an outward mindset. Yeah? So in this approach, the time allocation is largely tilted toward inclusiveness, development, and growth. Look at the time allocation now. It's all about development. So when we have an outward mindset, this approach helps to strengthen relationships, trust, collaboration, and inspires people to be resilient and adaptable because we are connected. We are not cutting the connection between people, which is what the inward mindset does. At this point, what questions do you have? Yeah. All right. So I've presented two mindsets to you, and I've shared with you how, when we have an inward mindset, everything we do becomes reactive and fixing in nature. When we have an outward mindset, everything we do has a developmental orientation, and it has huge implications for our ability to be resilient and adaptable. Okay, so I'm going to now suggest to you that the inward and outward mindset actually form a continuum, two extremes. And when we have an inward mindset, you can see the type of problems we naturally manifest and experience. Blindness, we are coping, blaming, resisting, we are wishful. But look at what happens when we have an outward mindset. We have awareness, we are adaptive, we are engaged, we want to be engaging, right? We are resilient and we are innovative. And here's the thing, I've yet to meet a single human being or organization that is 100% inward or 100% outward. We all seem to be mixed mindsets somewhere along the continuum. Okay? However, when individuals and the organization adopt more of an outward mindset, being resilient and adaptable in the face of disruption and challenges, are strengthened and sustained. That means if we want to be more resilient, more adaptive, it itself is a manifestation of the outward mindset. Okay, so here's another interesting thing, and Sijan, I'd like you to chip in here, right? Now, so the choices are very clear. Okay, so in everything I do, I've got to choose the mindset with which I'm going to approach any situation or disruption or challenge. Okay, so think about it. The school culture is the same. Leadership is constant, right? It's the same. Expectations, the truths, the facts, the reality, they're all constant. But I have to navigate this environment either with an inward or outward mindset. See what happens when I operate with an inward mindset, where others are objects to me. The way I see is already, already programmed. I can see things as obstacles. Oh, I can't do this. I see things as threats, trouble. I see things as weaknesses, and I see problems. I see a lot of problems around. Now, what do? Right? I can be hopeless or constrained, no way to change, victimized, at risk, scared, self-righteous. And look at what I do. I withdraw or give up. I complain or find excuses. I become a martyr, sacrificing myself for others. I try with reluctance. I try with arrogance. I might even blame. And the way I see, feel, and do, they actually fulfill a prophecy, right? My inward mindset reinforces exactly what I complain and worry about. Resilience and adaptability are weakened as a result of this way of thinking, feeling, and doing. But look at the outward mindset. When I see others as people, look at the way I see things around me. I see challenges. I see opportunities. I see facts. I don't see problems anymore. Although there are many, right? But I see problems that require solutions. I see a need for change. I see new solutions. What do I do now? I feel motivated, innovative, creative, empowered, responsible. Difficulties can be resolved. And look what I do. I accept the condition, the disruption, as a starting point and ask, given this new reality, what can I do to achieve the desired result? That question is only possible if I have an outward mindset. I work as a team. I listen and learn. I want to understand what's happening. I try to find solutions. I do not avoid difficulties. And as a result of this way of seeing, feeling, and doing, see what happens now. The outward mindset invites changes in myself and ultimately the problems I face. Resilience and adaptability are strengthened. Same reality, but one reinforces that. The other brings about a new reality. So the deeper choice we have is that of our mindset. And resilience and adaptability are deeply impacted by our mindset. Sijun, anything to add to that?
I think in a school environment, right, pretty much everything we face is relational. Our relationship with teachers, with colleagues, with our supervisors, principals, and parents, and so on. And if you think about our feelings towards those people, it very often reveals what kind of mindset we have towards them. And in general, I think for every one of us, it's very easy to reflect. For those people that we find troublesome, we don't like them, and we see them as problems. And for people we get along with, we tend to listen to them a little bit more. We tend to accept what they say, and it's a lot easier. So I think that's a very common, like a manifestation of the two different mindsets, and that ultimately change everything we do in a school setting.
Thank you, Sijun, right? So, thanks for that, because it's a beautiful segue in what we're going to do now. So the question now is a way forward. What do we need to do to strengthen resilience and adaptability? I think Sijun just said it, right? So here's the thing. The key principle is this. Life is in relationship. Okay? And here's the thing. Resilience and adaptability are largely relational. The quality of our relationships are going to determine, right, how effective we are going to be in our strengthening of resilience and adaptability. And this is something that is usually missed. The relational nature and the impact, the quality of relationships that we have on resilience and adaptability. It's often missed. So let's talk about this a bit. So I'm going to now present to you 3 simple ideas that can help us strengthen the quality of resilience and adaptability. And by no means are they exhaustive. They're just simple ideas that are leveraging on the mindset principles. Okay. Now, the first one is this: heightening self-awareness. Very, very powerful if we want to strengthen our adaptability and resilience, right? The self-awareness an individual has a huge bearing on the ability to become more resilient and adaptable. Okay. The second one, right? Focus on facts. I'll explain this and we'll do an activity around this. So important. Are we focusing on facts or not? And the third one is see, adjust, measure. When we are outward, we naturally apply, manifest, demonstrate a particular pattern. We call it the outward mindset pattern. And we're going to talk about it. I'll quickly, briefly introduce that. Okay? Now, so here's the thing. Let's start with heightening self-awareness. And we're suggesting, right, resilience and adaptability starts with heightened self-awareness. And when we heighten and strengthen self-awareness, we naturally invite people to feel deeply accountable for 3 things. Number 1, their own results. Number 2, their impact on others. And number 3, deepen their conviction and desire to become more helpful. So this is the power of self-awareness, right? When we heighten self-awareness, 3 outcomes are naturally manifested: a better focus and responsibility for results, starting to feel accountable for our impact on others, and our conviction to want to be helpful to the people around us. Naturally goes up. So I'm going to give you a way to think about self-awareness and evaluate our own self-awareness. And I'm going to suggest there are 2 parts to it, self-awareness, okay? 2 parts of self-awareness. The first one is to check our own readiness to change. Are we willing to change? That itself is powerful self-awareness. And I'm going to share with you a list of questions that can invite us to consider how ready we are to change. We are ready to change, right? So here are things. When things are not going well and when there are issues, here's the thing. Am I prepared to consider that I might be a problem? Am I prepared to look at the mirror and say, hey, am I a problem? Right? Number 2, am I reflecting and able to discern how I come through to others? Am I looking at, whatever I do and say, right? Am I looking at it from others' perspective? Number 3, am I reflecting on the quality of my influence and impact? And number 4, am I evaluating how people are receiving the messages I communicate? Okay. Now, these type of questions can be powerfully helpful in checking whether we are ready to change. So this is the first part of self-awareness. Are we willing, ready to change? But that's not good enough. There's another part to self-awareness. And that is, we need to reflect and discern how we regard people. Are we seeing them as people or are we seeing them as objects? The ability to reflect on that is a second part of self-awareness. And I'm going to suggest to you a list of questions. Again, they're not exhaustive, but they can be powerfully helpful. So here's the first one. Am I genuinely interested in the needs and concerns of this person? Number 2, how easy is it for me to listen to others? Number 3, how willing am I to consider the merits of the feedback given by others? Another one, am I prepared to seek help from others? Another one, how easy is it for me to offer help to others? Another one, do I really care about what others are trying to achieve? Another one, am I willing to adjust the way I do things to enable others to achieve their objectives? Am I in conflict with others? And lastly, am I being honest in the way I say and do things? Questions like these, right, can be powerfully helpful in checking whether we are indeed seeing others as people or as objects. And that is also very critical because self-awareness, right, if we are not able to recognize that we are seeing people as objects, meaning we are inward, there's no choice to make. But if I'm starting to own up, recognize that I am indeed seeing David as an object, right? I have a choice to do something about it. But if I'm not even recognizing that, there's no choice in front of me. There's no shifting to an outward mindset. Okay? So, and this is very critical, right? Remember, self-awareness is very critical to make that choice or offer myself the choice to shift my mindset. and outward mindset is critical if I'm going to strengthen my resilience and adaptability. Sijun, any thoughts to add to that?
No, at the moment.
Oh, good. Are there any questions you have about self-awareness and the important role it plays in strengthening resilience and adaptability? I see, let me just check the chat box and see whether anybody's...
I have a question.
Is there any question there, Sijun? I have an emergency. Oh, sorry. Okay. The school emergency. All right. So let's go on, right? Now, the second one, we're going to make it interactive. So I encourage you to open mic and talk about this. The second one, right, is about focusing on facts. Okay. In disruptive and challenging times, emotions and biases easily get in the way. Okay. So learning to discern and make decisions based on facts is critical to develop and strengthen our resilience and adaptability. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's do this. Okay, now let's use this example. All right, and I need your thoughts. You can type it into the chat box. Okay, a student is not submitting his or her homework on time. Right? Does it happen sometimes? Yeah, it's not an unusual situation as an educator deal with, right? So let's explore this now. What do you think are the reasons some students don't submit their homework on time? So very important that you either open your mic and share. I'm just going to escape and start typing your whatever thoughts you're saying, or you just type in the chat box, okay? Because we're going to do something with this activity, okay? Can I have some ideas, please? Anyone? Okay, Sijun, can you read out the chat box?
They have too many homework to complete.
Too many pieces. Too much homework, huh?
Too much homework to complete.
Okay, what else? What else?
Poor time management.
Okay, poor time management. What else?
Maybe got to help out parents.
Sorry, go out with parents?
The students have to help their parents.
Need to help their parents with chores. Okay, what else?
Too many commitments outside school.
Too many commitments outside school. What else?
Simply forgot.
Forgot, okay. What else?
Poor home environment.
Poor home environment.
Don't understand how to do the homework.
Don't understand how to do homework.
The other one similar, inability to understand the concepts.
Inability. Okay, so inability
to understand the concepts.
Okay.
Addiction to digital devices.
Okay, addiction to digital.
I didn't get that.
Addiction to digital devices.
Next one, no one to clarify questions about homework with.
Clarify doubt questions with. Okay. What else?
They could be lazy.
Okay. All right. And we have last one, lazy. Okay. All right. Now, so we have some reasons that we think, right, are not letting or are causing, delays or lack of submission by students, for their homework. Okay. Now we're going to come back to this in a while. Okay. But let me just do this. Okay. Let me just ask you this, right? Now, before we go back to that list, let me just present something. Okay. So here's the thing. We need to be able to discern what is a fact and what is an interpretation. Okay. So I'm just going to give you some examples. I need your help please unmute yourself and just share what you think, okay? Here's the first one. He is lazy. Is that a fact or an interpretation? Please unmute and share.
Could I say it's an interpretation?
Yeah. So it's an interpretation, right? Because yeah, we are making a judgment on somebody, right? Here's another one, right? He informed me, the student informed me that he left his homework at home. Is that a fact or an interpretation? He informed me that he left his homework at home. Anybody? Sorry?
It's a fact.
It's a fact, right? Because he informed me, okay? Next one. He explained that he does not understand the homework. Is that a fact or an interpretation? Anyone?
It's a fact.
It's a fact again. Let's try another one. Doesn't care about his studies. Is that a fact or an interpretation?
Interpretation.
Yeah, it's an interpretation. It's a judgment. Okay, so you can see, right, the way we think about why the person is not submitting his homework, right? You could have some facts, others could be interpretations. So now let's go back to that list. Okay, let's go back to that list. Okay, yeah. All right, I'm just going to go back to that list. Okay, you can all see it. Make it into 100%. So I hope all of you can see, right? So let's look at each one. I'd like all of you to share with me your thoughts, right? Yeah, too much homework to complete. Is that a fact or an interpretation?
It could be both.
It could be both. Okay, so I'm just going to put half a line. Huh? It could be both. It could be a fact or it could be an interpretation. So I'm just not covering all. Okay, poor time management. Is that a fact or an interpretation? Anybody?
Well, it seems like it could be both, but yeah.
You're making a judgment on somebody, right?
It could be a judgment, yeah.
If it is a judgment, is it a fact or an interpretation?
If it's a judgment, it will be an interpretation.
So I'm just trying to help us discern what is a fact and this thing, right? Need to help their parents with chores. Is that a fact or an interpretation? Why the student is not, sorry?
If it's true, it's a fact.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it all depends on whether you actually check with the parent or the student and the parents or not, right? If you just made that assumption, it becomes an interpretation, right? So I'm just going to put a line beside it, right? So we understand that if we checked and that's what it is, it's a fact. But if I made the judgment, then it's an interpretation. Too many commitments outside school. Is that a fact or an interpretation?
I mean, to interpretation to some extent, because what is too many, you know, could mean different things, different people.
Okay. Next one, forgot. Is that a fact or an interpretation?
Fact.
Fact, okay. A poor home environment. Is that a fact or an interpretation?
These are tricky, aren't they?
Anybody else? Brian, Jeremy, Julia, Ibrahim, Maid, you mean? Any thoughts? Mavis, Aziza, Miyan?
I think it's an interpretation.
Interpretation, forgot. Oh, sorry. Which one are we at? Poor home environment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Don't understand how to do homework. Is that a fact or an interpretation? Are we making a judgment or was that clarified? Anybody?
It's a judgment by the way it says.
The way it is said, it seems to be a judgment, right? So it's an interpretation. Inability to understand the concepts. Is that a fact or an interpretation?
Interpretation.
Sorry, Mia?
Interpretation.
Interpretation, okay. Now, next one, okay, addicted to digital devices. Fact or interpretation? Anybody? The way it is stated. Sorry, David?
It could be both, and many of these could be both. It depends if they're true or not.
Yeah, so if the way it is stated, I'm making a judgment, it's an interpretation. If I talk to the people and, as a result of the conversation, we came to that conclusion, it can be a fact, right? So again, but if you notice addiction to devices, right? It could either be a fact or an interpretation. It has to be validated. Okay, next one. No one to clarify things with, right? Again, depends on whether, right, it was as a result of a conversation with this person or not. Lazy, right? Again, we have to.
That's an interpretation.
Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is, right, you notice the reasons some students don't submit their homework. And when we listed a lot of these items, right, you can see some of them are facts and some of them are interpretations. Okay. And what they do is they severely undermine ability to be effective in our solutioning. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to this now, right? So here's what happens, right? So when I have an inward mindset, what happens is this, okay? I twist the fact into an interpretation to suit my needs. That is what happens when I have an inward mindset. Okay? So what we are suggesting is to become more resilient and adaptable. Number one, we need to ask ourselves, what is a fact? What is interpretation? Right? And if it's an interpretation, we need to clarify it. And then we need to ask, okay, these are the facts now. How would I approach the situation if I have an outward mindset? If I were to see them as a person? Okay? So these are the two things that become very critical, okay, in terms of strengthening our resilience and adaptability. Okay? So what we're suggesting is moving forward, we'd like to invite you to stay focused on facts and how we might see this individual if we have an outward mindset, if we were to see them as a person. Okay? So this is a second simple tool that can really help us become more adaptable and more resilient. The first one is self-awareness, the ability to check ourselves and see, am I willing to change? Am I ready to change? The second part of self-awareness is to simply check, am I seeing the people I'm interacting with as people or as objects? Both are very critical to create this choice to want to shift to an outward mindset. The second one is, right, are we making our evaluations and our course of actions based on facts or interpretation? And like you saw, a lot of things could be both, right? But if they are both, that means we have not validated a lot of them, right? And the ability to check whether we validated and it is indeed a fact is very critical in making better decisions so that we can be more adaptable, okay? Because what the inward mindset does is it plays with our head. It plays with our head. It wants to use the interpretations as facts, and then we get jumbled up. Okay. Now, the third tool I want to present to you is what we call the outward mindset pattern. Okay. Now, here's the thing. It turns out that people who are working with an outward mindset, they exhibit a pattern. It is an observable pattern that every human being demonstrates when they're outward. And remember what I shared earlier? Every human being seems to be a mixed mindset person. I personally have yet to meet a single human being who's 100% inward or a single human being who's 100% outward. We all seem to be mixed mindset people. So we can understand and become more conscious of this pattern. We too can strengthen our outward mindset and therefore strengthen our resilience and adaptability. So let's explore that. Now, interestingly, right, it turns out whenever human beings are outward, right, they're seeing people as people. They're naturally doing a few things. Number one, they're naturally curious. They want to understand others better. They strive to understand others, their needs, their objectives, and their challenges. You don't have to tell me to do that. I'm naturally wanting, willing, committing to understanding others. We want to see better. And the more we see, we start to adjust efforts. Given what I've learned about others, I start to adjust efforts in order to become more helpful. And you don't have to tell me to do that. And the third one, When I'm truly outward, I'm not happy. I'm not settled just by adjusting efforts. I want to do one more. And I naturally do one more. And that is, I measure impact. I want to go back to these people and check if the changes I've made are indeed helpful. And you don't have to tell me to. And in Arbinger, we say, whenever we are outward, we are naturally applying SAM. See others, S for see others, A for adjust efforts, and M for measure impact. And one of the things is, right, a good indication that we are outward is if we are naturally applying SAM. Okay, are we seeing, are we adjusting, are we measuring? And if we are not doing it, right, that itself is symptomatic of an inward mindset. Because when I'm outward, I'm naturally applying SAM. What questions do you have at this point?
Hi, VK.
Okay, maybe I'll just add something. So the second tool we learned focusing on facts, right? So you'll notice with some level of self-awareness and being slightly outward, naturally, when you see something that could be interpretation, could be fact, you have that urge or that desire to check what it is, if it's a fact or if I'm actually misunderstanding something at this point. So each of the tools that we're introducing here is definitely correlated and interacted, not separated.
They're not mutually exclusive at all, right? So if I'm making an assessment, hey, this is not a fact, right? I'll straight away start applying. If I'm outward, I'll straight away apply C, adjust and measure. It naturally follows, right? So this is so important. So one of the things for me is, while the outward mindset pattern is a tool, a pattern that we naturally manifest when we are outward, but it is also a powerful self-awareness tool. Because at any point, right, if I just check, hey, am I applying SAM right now, right? It gives me an indication of my mindset. Because if I'm not applying SAM, it is a powerful indication that I'm not outward. Because I'm not seeing, I'm not striving to see better. I'm not evaluating and adjusting efforts. I'm not measuring my impact on others and the work of others, right? So just not doing it, right, itself is an indication that my mindset might not be outward. Are there any questions you have?
Just wondering whether this SAM is applicable in all situations.
Jeremy, thank you for that question. Can you think of a situation where SAM does not apply? Because I've yet to come across a simple, even a single situation where SAM does not apply.
Okay, I'm thinking of where you try to apply it, but if the other party is just simply obnoxious, not interested in trying to resolve the problem, and there you go, diligently trying to adopt the same mindset, would that still work?
Okay, so Jeremy, right, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So the way you explain that situation, let's say it is a student, he or she is being obnoxious, not listening, not changing, not considering any, no reflection, nothing, right? Now, and you are applying SAM, you're trying to see, you're trying to adjust, you're measuring, right? And the person is not responding, right? So that not responding, what it does is, that is what you're seeing, right? Your seeing is now more clearer, right? And your adjustments doesn't mean you are pandering to that person's need. Adjustment does not mean that. It could be a tough, consequential action that you're taking as an educator, right? You may have to take serious consequences. You may have to talk to their parents. You may have to send this person for counseling. You may have to do other tough disciplinary, strategies as well. So adjust efforts does not mean you're becoming soft. It doesn't mean that. It is just saying, given the understanding what is playing, the landscape that is playing out right now, what do I need to do to be effective here, right? And at the same time, see this person as a person. If it requires a disciplinary action, are you disciplining a person or are you disciplining an object? Because when I discipline an object, it is all about pain and punishment. But if I'm disciplining a person, right, it is about development. It's about helping this person, inviting this person to see a better future, a better option in front of them. Yeah, Jeremy? So is this helping, or do you have
good.
one
Good.
question?
Right, thank you.
Yeah. Sijun, anything to add to that?
Yes, a little bit. I think another common concern, similar to what Jeremy just shared, is when we don't seem to have access to see, to try to understand the other person. That's a common objection that I get from other participants sometimes. And I think at this point, we can actually see the sum, the see others, adjust effort and measurement as an internal process that is going on in our head. And whenever we have that willingness to see other people as people, we can do SAM. Although on a behavior level, what we demonstrate might be different.
Yeah. So CJ, thanks for that, right? So Jeremy, two things here. Number one, from an internal perspective, right? So if I'm outward, I'm naturally applying see, adjust, measure, see, adjust, measure, right? And adjust and my actions does not mean they have to be soft and cuddly. They could be very consequential for the parties that are involved, right? But from a manifestation perspective, right? I could actually start anywhere. I could start with measure impact. I could manifest, adjust efforts. I could see others. You could start anywhere. That's not a problem. But the internal programming is, right? If I'm outward, it's see, adjust, measure, see, adjust, measure, see, adjust, measure. Okay. Just wanted to, thanks for that, Sijun, right? Now, another thing, right? I'm repeating myself here. One of the reflex interpretations people have across spectrums, right? And I personally have been doing this for 17 years. There's a general tendency to associate the outward mindset where we see people as people with a set of soft behaviors. That means I become soft, I become nice. I will not confront you, I will not scold you, I will not punish you, right? So there's a tendency to associate seeing people as people being outward with, these soft type of behaviors. And that is a misunderstanding, okay? Because if I'm truly seeing people as people, I will not deny them the consequences of their actions, because there's no growth opportunity for them if I'm shielding them away from the consequences, right? A parent who protects the child from the teacher's punishments, right? Now that is not going to help the child grow. It's denying the child an opportunity to grow, right? When a child makes a mistake, do they have an opportunity to face the consequences of the action, right? So it becomes very critical. So if I'm truly seeing somebody as a person, right, one of the things is, am I respecting, honoring their agency to make their choices and face the consequences of their action, right? Because if I deny them the consequences, I'm denying them a developmental opportunity. Okay. So if you look at it like that, right, the misunderstanding that seeing people as people means soft behaviors can be weakened, and that grip is very, very strong in many people, and they're unable to navigate and make better decisions, right? Because of this association that seeing people as people, it means necessarily I have to be soft and nice. Okay. Now, are there any other questions you have that might be helpful for you to explore? Okay. If not, I'm mindful of time. Okay. So basically, right, we just introduced 3 simple ideas. They are not exhaustive at all, but they put us in a very, very firm footing to strengthen resilience and adaptability in extremely disruptive times. Heighten self-awareness, focus on facts, and the outward mindset pattern. See, adjust, measure. Okay. Now, what questions do you have? If not, right? So I just want to let you know that you can, if you want to know more about what Arbinger does, you can visit us at arbingersca.com. We have a lot of programs available, both in person and online. In fact, we have an upcoming 2-day workshop called Developing and Implementing an Outward Mindset on the 14th and 15th of September. It's a Monday, Tuesday. In fact, the one we ran last week, we had several educators attending it. And 2 of the educators actually, they've continued 16 to 18 and also wanted to become outward mindset facilitators so that they can bring this and be a facilitator running these programs internally for the educators and their students. Okay, so both options are available for you. You can attend the 2-day workshop followed by the 3 days, or you can simply attend the 2-day workshop. But if you want to attend the facilitated training, the prerequisite is you must have attended the 2-day workshop. You can connect with us on LinkedIn and Facebook and explore articles and discussions. You can just email us and we'll be happy to engage you and find out what you need so we can be more supportive. Do share your feedback and your comments on our social media pages or via email. That'll be really helpful. Malur, anything to add? You're on mute.
Hi everyone. We will be sending you the link to this entire video. Feel free to share it with your colleagues, your fellow educators. Yep. And if you have any questions, please do email us.
Right. So how we started was the disruptions are real, the emotions are real, right? And the emotions actually allude to a particular mindset, you know, the emotions of blame and all that, right? Those could be a very self-focused set of emotions, right? They might allude to an inward mindset. And whenever we are operating with an inward mindset, we tend to have a orientated toward a fixing and a reactive strategy. But the other mindset is what we call the outward mindset, where we have a developmental strategy, right? And then we introduce the 2 mindsets to you and give you 3 simple tools: self-awareness, focus on facts, and the outward mindset pattern, right? Just to navigate and strengthen your own mindset so that you can strengthen your resilience and adaptability. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon, right? And do share your thoughts via email or on our Facebook and LinkedIn. Yeah. Have a good afternoon.